In today's video, we're going to tie my Tungsten Crystal Tron Emerger. Very similar to my regular Tron Emerger, just is a little flashier and also has a tungsten bead. One of the reasons I liked my regular Tron Emerger was because it didn't have a lot of flash, it had just the right amount of translucence, but I've had a lot of requests from guys for a tungsten bead, flashier version for heavy water or runoff. So we're going to start with a Daiichi 1560 nymph hook and a undersized tungsten bead. Now when I say undersized, this hook is like a size 16. Normally you'd use like a 3/32 bead, but we're going to undersize it and use a 5/64 tungsten bead. I don't want that bead to be too big. We just need a little bit of weight on the head. Tungsten's plenty heavy, just to help sink that fly behind a hopper or some type of dry, so you can fish it in little pocket water and things like that. So we're going to start off some Veevus 14-aught black thread, and we're going to tie this one in a color that no one has seen yet. So you can now buy these flies from your fly shop, but right now they're available in kind of the normal colors: olive, black, red, brown. This one today we're going to tie in purple. So we're going to start with our white Antron or Zlon yarn. Pretty sparse little clump here, only about 10 or so fibers. We're going to tie that in right here near the front of the bead, and then we're just going to wrap back down onto it. And we're going to go just a hair down the bend here. The reason being is because that bead on the front, we lose a little bit of length on this fly. So on this one, I just take literally a couple wraps down the bend of this hook. Now we're going to take a little bit more of a generous clump of your purple Antron. I'd say that's 25 fibers or so. Of course, the smaller the fly, fewer the fibers. I actually like to fish this fly in larger sizes. Most people in Colorado are fishing 20s, 22s. Favorite size for me in my Tron Emergers is 16. I fish it everywhere. I fish it at Deckers, Dreamstream. I'm so busy talking there I forgot to do my next step. So I tied in my purple Antron. Now we're going to take a strip of Pearlescent Mirage Tinsel in small. You could also use just Pearl Crystal Flash or Flashaboo. And we're going to tie this in along with our clump of purple Antron. So I just draw those two together, and then I just wrap back down to the bend. Then I take my thread and just wrap it forward. You can build a little bit of taper to this fly, so you can throw a few more thread wraps kind of in the midsection and the thorax. That'll kind of help add that taper to that fly. Now we're going to tie in our flashback. Now this is a piece of large Pearlescent Mirage Tinsel. We're going to make sure that's perfectly centered on top of the shank of the hook. And I'm going to take it to the halfway point of our hook shank. And then I'll kind of cover it up, and I'll build a little bit of a thorax here with my thread. And I'll take my thread right up to the bead. Just pull that flashback out of the way, and then I'm going to draw all my Antron together, and I'm going to spin it with my fingers here, just kind of make it into a rope. That's basically the goal. The tighter the rope, the better. You can use your hackle pliers to kind of spin it. You can see there in the camera how I'm getting kind of a candy cane effect with that piece of tinsel in there. That is exactly what we're going for. It kind of will give this fly a variegated, subtle, flashy body. That's what makes the fly so effective. And once you have it drawn into a nice rope, we're going to take that first wrap right there at the back, nice and tight. And once you get that first wrap done, then it's pretty easy from there on out just to wrap forward. Whoopsie, hackle pliers keep jumping on me a little bit. just wrap forward. I like to wrap right up against my tinsel. I just kind of pull it up. Then we can pull the flash back out of the way. Now you take your Sharpie marker, and on this fly I'm going for a black thorax. Purple and black is one of my favorite color combinations, so I just color up with my Antron rope and then just continue to wrap that thorax all the way up until you get to your bead. Then we can capture that with our thread. I unclip from my hackle pliers with my first wrap. That way the Antron kind of flattens out and doesn't stay in a rope. And you can pull and trim out your Antron rope. Then we can carefully pull our flash back right over the top. Then I'll capture it with a loose wrap. And then I'll pull the flash back and tighten down with my thread. And I just do 2 wraps in front, 2 wraps in back. Then I trim the flash as I'm pulling it back. That leaves a little bit of a tag, and that will keep it from just popping off and coming undone without you wanting it to. Now we're going to tie in the legs. Again, the white Antron, I would say about twice as much as we used on the tail, so about 20 fibers. I'm going to just lay it on top. I'm going to do 1 loose wrap over the top. I'm going to capture it on my near side. Then I'm going to go behind that leg on my near side. I'm going to pull the far side across, and then I'm going to capture it on the other side. Then I'm going to do the same thing all over again. Capture on the near side, behind, capture on the far side. Basically, we're doing a figure X wrap with my thread. And then I'm going to do 1 wrap right in front. Then I can take my whip finisher. Ooh, that was kind of a shrieky noise from my bobbin. Take my whip finisher, and I'm going to whip finish right in front of both of those legs. Just a couple wraps kind of on top of them to lay them back. And pull tight. Now we're ready to trim our legs and our tail. I pull the legs back together, and I'm going to trim just behind the casing or the flashback, just like that. I'm going to trim the tail about the length of the purple body. There we are. And there is your finished tungsten bead or bead head. You can just use regular bead if you want, but I prefer the tungsten Crystal Tron Emerger.